Hey everyone, this is Rico Figliolini, host of Peachtree Corner's Life. We're beginning to see a lot of electioneering going on, a lot of more things going on out there as far as this May election, May 21st, that's coming up in a few weeks. And this has several nonpartisan races that are decided this May versus a primary and then final elections in November. So what's happening this month is extremely important to you, and you need to be aware of it. And this is one of several podcasts we'll be doing with candidates. And I appreciate Yanin Cortes showing up and speaking with me about her race for Gwinnett County School Board. Thank you for being here this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure
Sure,
to.
sure. Love to hear more about, why you're running and stuff. I just want to give some background about you. So this is for actually District 3 election of Gwinnett County School Board, which represents geographically Peachtree Corners, parts of Norcross, Burke Lake, Duluth, Sewanee, and Sugar Hill. Fairly large district, 31 schools, public schools in that district. And you entered the race with actually several endorsements already. So the retiring board member that's been representing Peachtree Corners in this area for like 28 years, Mary Kay Murphy, has come out and endorsed you. Mayor Mike Mason has endorsed you, and so has Representative Scott Hilton. All of them, Peachtree Corners residents, all of them involved so heavily in the community. So, some great support you have. Now, I'd like to hear, I'm sure the rest of us would like to hear a little bit about, why you've decided that you want to run, but tell us a little bit about your story and then why you've decided to run.
Sure. Um, I I'm a first immigration immigrant. I was born in Cuba,
Yeah,
and I came to the United States when I was 10 years old. I and we migrated to Hollywood, Florida, out of all
really?
places.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
It's funny because everybody says I went to Miami, but that was not my story. And
hmm,
Hollywood at that time was a very American town, all American town. All the Cubans were living somewhere in Miami, and I probably was one of two children in the class that spoke Spanish, and
oh, wow.
it was a hard year for me. I call it the year of silence,
Hmm,
uh, since it was really hard to just talk to anybody. But I had amazing teachers that guided me, that were there for me. And I think that's where my love for school started,
yeah,
because I had so much support. And being an immigrant family here, it's a very hard thing to go through, especially parents coming, not knowing the language, working
right.
two jobs to
Yeah.
making sure that people have, that we had food on our table.
Hmm.
So I went through the whole years, and I kind of went into music and for a while there.
Hmm.
And after I graduated high school, I decided that I wanted to be a famous singer, something that the
Okay.
dream of everybody. They just want to be.
Sure.
Um, and I went through auditions and I wrote songs and I spent a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
time in that. And I got signed with a company, EMI.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Yeah, sure. Famous record
um,
company. Sure. Label.
yes, and I got to travel the world. The first signing was with a group, a three girl group, and we went all over the place in Europe. And
Hmm.
then after that, I decided that I wanted to just have my own thing and write my own songs. And I
Wow.
decided to be a solo artist. And I got signed with EMI also, but in South America. But after that, somehow in between that, I got married, I started having kids, and then I decided, oh,
Hmm.
I don't want to be traveling all the time. I need to pay attention to my kids.
You have three, I think,
Well,
right?
my son at that point, it was only one.
Okay.
And And my husband has supported me because he's also a musician. He was also signed with Sony, and
Wow.
but then we just came back to Miami. Now this time Miami, and
Right.
um, I went back to school and decided to go for education. My husband went to FIU, and he said, "Well, you know what? Don't worry. I'll go study hospitality and business administration, and we'll go
Hmm.
move to Atlanta and open a Cuban restaurant. Your mom was an amazing chef and cook, and
Right.
you will sing whenever you want to. You can
Oh,
sing
wow.
on the
Wow.
weekend."
There's a good
And that,
husband.
yes, it is. He is amazing. He is wonderful, and he made that dream come true. He
Wow.
did, and we both graduated. I mean, I graduated when I got to Atlanta. I transferred to Georgia State, and
Hmm.
that's when I finished school. But we opened a restaurant in between that, and I started teaching at Shiloh High School.
Right. So you guys own actually Mojitos in downtown Norcross, the crossing,
Yes,
the crossing in downtown Norcross as well, and the
yes,
Mojitos at the Forum, right?
yes,
Oh, okay. Wow. Entrepreneurs, talented singer.
yes.
So
We have a
you
little bit of everything.
it seems like it. And you were a teacher at Shiloh High School for a while too, right? A former
Yes,
educator. Okay.
yes, I was.
And and you have three kids, I think,
I
right?
have three boys. I call
Okay.
them boys, but they're men already. Two of
I
them.
sure. Yeah, I would imagine, right?
And-
Is so one of them still home, I guess, or are they all home, or how
yes,
does that work?
yes, I have. I also have a 9 year old. We started over again somehow. Don't ask us why, but it's an amazing experience. I think as you grow
Right.
older, then you say, "Oh, maybe I should have done that with the other one." And
That's interesting. Yeah, the last one. I have three kids, and the youngest is 7 years apart from the middle one. So yeah,
yeah,
you get to see that. And I also come from immigrant parents. I was first born in the States here, so I can appreciate coming
yeah,
from a household that had no English speaking.
yeah.
And I think my kindergarten and first grade teacher had my parents in because I was speaking half Italian, half English, and they couldn't understand everything I was saying. So I can appreciate the difficulties of a young family.
Yeah,
And educators that were present with you at the time really does make a difference because I think if you
they
had the
do.
wrong teacher, you
Mhm.
might not have been as fortunate, right? But
No, I have to say, teachers were amazing for me, especially in high school, afterwards, and at the beginning. They were there to guide me. They were there
mhm,
to support me. They knew that I was going through a rough time. And then in high school, my music teacher was an amazing teacher because it was like a family. We ended up in this
mhm,
choir that was only 14 of us. And we were like a family for the whole 4 years. And that kept me going. And you have some people that, if you were struggling in a subject, he will go, "Hey, what's going on?
mhm.
Let's go. You have to do this. I know you love singing. I know you love doing this, but you always have some inspirational, some person that, a mentor that tells you,
Yes,
hey, let's go
yes,
for it." Yeah.
cool. Curious, what instruments did you play, or did you?
I was singing all the time. I play
Mhm.
guitar a little bit, but I wouldn't like even dare say that in front of people because if they make me play, it'll sound horrible. So, can't do
Okay.
it.
Have you sung at the restaurants?
Yes,
Have you?
I
Okay.
used when we opened the restaurant. It was 2008. I've been
Hmm.
singing ever since then. Friday and Saturday night. I took some time off when I had Lincoln, my youngest.
Hmm.
But right now, I'm still singing every Saturday night
Oh,
in the
neat.
Forum location.
Cool. So let's dig down a little bit about why you have great
Okay.
background, obviously, good endorsements, but why are you looking to run for Gwinnett County School Board? What is motivating you to do that?
Well, I love this community. Kids are my passion too. I can see their faces light up every time they learn something, and I think
Mhm.
that we should keep that going. And I think being a member of the school board will help. We have a lot of immigrants coming into our county right now,
Sure.
and our county is the most diverse county, and I think in the nation,
Hmm.
and it's incredible that we have such a diversity, such a love. Gwinnett County has always loved education. So
Hmm.
I wanted to make sure that I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to encourage people. I wanted to be the voice for the parents that have concerns and just voice that to to the schools. And I wanted
Sure.
to be the voice for our community is saying, hey, we want to make sure that our tax dollars are spent wisely.
Hmm.
And I know that we all have anxiety, but I believe that Gwinnett County has an amazing school system. We just need to come together and talk and come up, bring consensus
Yeah.
and just making sure that we're working together to achieve success for all students.
That's great to hear. The county has gotten, like you said, it's actually a majority minority.
Yeah.
Um, it's changed over the decades. I've been here since '95. My kids have gone, all my kids have gone through public school the same way I
Yes.
did in New York when before I came here. Simpson Elementary, Pinckneyville,
Yeah.
Norcross. They went through the IB program at Norcross. In
Yes.
fact, the two of them that went through IB, if they hadn't gone through, um, I think they wouldn't have done as well. The IB program really taught them how to write, how to be critical thinkers, how to mold things together, subjects. So the school system has done some good things, right?
Yes.
What do you think they do well at the school system right now?
Well, definitely those programs, the IB program, the early learning for, they have a play to learn program
Hmm.
right now that they including the parents to come before they get to school so they can learn how to teach their kids to be ready for kindergarten.
Right,
We have that program. A lot of people don't know about it, but it's amazing because it just prepares. We have all the STEM program that we have right now with the Paul Duke, and
sure.
we have just different alternative for students that are looking. I think there's a pathway to careers that they're developing in some of the schools
Hmm.
that they if a kid wants to go to trade school instead of college,
Right.
he will have that ability to concentrate on that. And some people don't know what they want, but if they're guided, and I think
Hmm.
this is one thing that we can concentrate, that I will fight for to in the school board. Okay,
That's great.
let's yeah.
I
What
think
else
that's
do we
great.
have? We
I
have a lot of things that are amazing. The sports,
right.
amazing
Sure.
sports here in Gwinnett that
Yes.
sports people think it's just one of those things, but it drives kids, it gives them discipline.
Hmm.
It makes them just, do their best because they
Yes.
know they have to be good. They have to do good in their studies so they can go and participate in the sports.
Right.
And the same thing with music. Marching band was a haven for my kids because they were musicians. None
Oh,
of us
wow.
came out.
Okay.
So both of my kids were in marching band, and the teachers were amazing. Mr. Ventura in
Hmm.
Pinckneyville,
Yeah.
I love him so much. He was guidance for my kids, and
Right.
he has that tough discipline, but at the same time, you know, he's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, I can appreciate that. Yeah. These teachers that teach in Gwinnett County schools are underserved, I think, in some way,
Yeah,
so underrespected
yeah,
by some people. But They've done a great job. I totally agree. Sports has been a tremendous drive. I mean, more sports athletes come out of Gwinnett
North
County,
Gwinnett
right,
County.
and Norcross High School, but even some of the other high schools for sure, and not just
Yes,
football or baseball or soccer, but volleyball, lacrosse. I mean,
yeah,
they've this city and this county has produced so many athletes, even theater and music, like you said. I mean, the theater at Norcross has done great, and some of the other high schools as well. So there's lots there, but there are big challenges, right, to the school board,
okay,
to the school system, I should say. School board has been changing over the last few decades. Different representations have come in. Um, Schools have changed also, right? Social media has made it a little difficult. TikTok, Instagram, not that they're bad apps, they're just like anything else. They're used badly sometimes, right?
yes.
Um, so you have disciplinary, school safety issues. Lockdowns, school shootings, although we haven't had any that I'm aware of in Gwinnett County that were inside a school. Sometimes shootings on high school campus, maybe, but mostly it's unrelated to the students sometimes. So, what do you see as challenges to the school system with regard to discipline, school safety?
Well, school safety has to be a priority, has to be the number one, just because if we don't have, if the teachers don't feel safe, if the kids don't feel safe, there's no learning going on because everybody's just worried about survival, right? And I think the school board went through a very difficult time about a year ago when they, 2 years ago, really, when they decided to change the discipline policies, and it created chaos in a way, and
Hmm.
some of the teachers didn't know what to do, didn't know if they were afraid to discipline. They
Hmm.
And that caused a lot of confusion in the system. But they did go back this year, and they decided that they were going to take back and try to go back to the old way. And I think that was a great decision.
Hmm.
But it took some courage from people to say, Mary Kay Murphy was one of those people that said, we need to, I take my vote out this one. Can we go back
Hmm.
to the place where we were,
Yeah.
where we can control our classrooms, where the teachers have the power to control their classrooms, where the administrators have the power to control their building.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I think it's getting better,
Hmm.
and we still have a lot of work to do. It's just that I think it was something that's kind of set us back a little bit.
Hmm.
But I have faith in Gwinnett County. I know that we will go through this. I'm running because I want to be,
Right.
that pathway to, hey, we can get through this.
So, what do you find then the role of the board, right? You're volunteers, you don't get paid. I mean, you get this a stipend, but it's really not, considering the size of the budget of this county.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone ever gets paid well,
yeah,
and they do it for the love. You're
yeah.
running because you want to be on the board because you want to feel like you can provide your guidance. So, but
Yeah.
what is the role of the board in your mind?
Well, the role of the board has three main goals, and it's pretty much hiring and firing of the superintendent, overseeing, not overseeing like micromanagement, but
Hmm.
making sure that all the laws that are already in place are being followed,
Okay.
and also just giving support to the superintendent so that they can achieve their goal.
Okay.
Proving Approving budgets, making sure that we don't go over budget and that it is
Right.
appropriated to to things that would benefit the students
Hmm.
and teachers, because they're the heart of this whole thing. We can say this or that, but the students, we have to make sure that we have quality educational uh, su- systems for them. We have to make sure that we have the teachers are being taken care of, that they have competitive salaries,
Okay.
and that they're being supported. So the school board is in charge of overseeing or just making sure that everything is running how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But
That
we are
that
not supposed to make policy unless it's something that is that we notice that is that somebody's not following what they're supposed to be doing. But usually the superintendent is the one that makes everything happen, and we say, okay, yes or no,
right.
and we come together and saying that.
Right. So there's leadership. You guys are there to make sure and guide that leadership or policies to make sure. I mean, you all have a vote on the board, so obviously budgeting and all that. Anything that
Yes,
happens, the board is voting on, and
right.
and it's not always unanimous, right? I guess.
No,
Um,
we
so and
have to
that's
have
good.
three. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, you don't want, I mean, it's good to be unanimous that you all are in agreement on things, but it's also good to have diversity as far as opinions go. The fact that the disciplinary changes that happened 2 years ago were reversed now 2 years later,
Right.
because people were honest about the failure of it, and how it would work. So, going to the role of the community then, because 2 years ago, pretty much that was the response from the community. So the whole idea was not just a response from the community, but it was also the people that were elected to the board
Mm-hmm.
decided that that's what they thought should be done because the community maybe was voicing that opinion or the loudest voices were out there. So there's a role for the community. Sometimes it could be right or wrong,
Right.
but what do you see as that role from the community?
Obviously, we have to pay attention to what the community says because they're they have concerns,
Hmm.
and sometimes I think that not every some people think, I don't know, what I've encountered is that everything is magical and happens in a magical way, but there's so many
Yes.
so many levels to everything, and okay,
Hmm.
well, this happened because of that, and they tend to blame one person alone, and in
Right.
reality, I mean, it's a huge system, and we have, I know I ran the restaurants, so I know that even though you have some policies, not everybody's
Hmm.
going to follow those policies in the way that it was intended to be followed.
Right.
And it's hard because we are a lot of people, but we all one. We are that school
Hmm.
system, right?
Yeah.
So, but we all bring different perspective into that,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I think they're all valuable because everybody has a different need
Hmm.
in their mind and how we see the world.
Yeah.
So the community should be heard and should be paid attention to.
Hmm.
And that is when we get together and we say, okay, the community is asking for this. Is this reasonable? Is this going to work in the school system?
Right.
I,
Okay.
I think the problem was, okay, the community is saying this and we need to do that, or we need to change the laws about this. Yes, but what would that entitle and how can we accomplish that without bringing the whole system down? But
Yes.
we cannot burn the house because then we won't have a house anymore, right?
That's a that's a great way of looking at it. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, and you're right. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of employees in the county, and not everyone will, just even a small business like with 30, 40 people, not everyone follows that policy the way you said it. So I could
Yes.
see that. And you're right, because even though you may agree on the subject, to implement it gets complicated, right?
Yes.
It's like Congress. When Congress passes a law, people think that, well, that's the law. Whereas now the department that has to take care of implement that law now has to set up guidelines and policies to
Yes.
deliver that, and that could be completely different than what was intended by the law. So I can understand the disciplinary and policies changed because they were trying to address something, but in the end, it didn't address it properly, I guess, and this is why there was more problems there. Um, so there's a
Well,
lot of
that's
actions, right?
mhm.
There's a lot of
I
actions.
that's
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm
No,
not
no,
used to talking like that, but
yeah, it's good.
yeah, that's something that we can learn. Definitely, when something is done and it's not successful, it's an
Uh-huh.
opportunity to learn and just to go forward. And I think that's the mentality that we have to have for our school system that we love in our community. That's that is the mindset that we have to. Let's not just point fingers at everybody. Let's go forward.
Cool. Good way of looking at it, I think. Um, if you're elected to the school board, are there any particular actions you'd like to see happen or policies that you would like to see implemented? Anything new that you'd like to see? Any actions that you'd like to see the board do once you're elected?
Well, definitely, my main safety, like I said, is number one. Making
Hmm.
sure that whenever we have a policy that is in place, that we follow it, but that we have training for the teachers, training for the administrators, that we have a plan that works, and or that the people that are managing that portion, because operations is more left to the superintendent. We are
Right,
governance, and the superintendent is in between both of them,
right.
governance and operations. So at
Hmm.
one point, we just have to talk to if we have a concern. And I think it should be in a diplomatic way, and I think it should be in a civil way.
Hmm.
And lately, we haven't been seeing, because we have the same objective. The objective is to have a great school system.
Right.
And I think that should be the vision.
Do you
And not,
think this? Do you think the school handles diversity well? The school system.
I think Gwinnett County has been one of the pioneers in that because we have been diverse for a long time.
Hmm.
I think when we go into just making everything a blend game or a politics get into the school system, that's when we lose.
Hmm.
Because we will start saying, "Oh, this is we're like I said, we're all different." I think it's a plus for us. I think we can make this an amazing example for the whole nation. And I think Gwinnett County has been taking steps towards that.
Cool. The now you've been running as obviously you're running as a candidate right now. Um, are there priorities as a candidate? I mean, are you knocking on doors and stuff? I'm sure you're meeting people. What are you hearing out there? You know, what are they, or what are people saying to you that you can share?
Well, pretty much the concerns about safety, concerns about high quality education, what is happening to there's a lot of anxiety right
Mm,
now in about the school system. I think it's because it was caused because of the discipline implementation
right.
policy that it was chaotic and everybody just we need to gain that trust back, I think.
Hmm.
And we can do that by just the school board honestly has been acting, and they're always in a fight right now, or it
Mm,
looks like, or it seems like that. And would you project that to people?
yeah.
It doesn't project any confidence.
Mm,
And so, and I mean, you see a situation from the outside, you have no idea what's going on in the inside. It
Right.
doesn't tell you the whole thing, the whole story. So
Right.
there's a lot of things that go on, and that people are working very hard. Our teachers are
Hmm.
working really hard every day to teach our students. Our administrators are doing the best possible things
Hmm.
that they can do for the teachers and the students. So I believe that's happening. I
Okay.
just think that because of the discipline fiasco, that's
Right.
we are the school system has to recuperate, and also we have a lot of immigrants coming in our
Right.
system right now, and it's creating the graduation rate is not being measured at, in my opinion, the way that it should be measured, but that we have no control over that because that's all over the country.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Um, so the system is, yeah, any school system that has an influx of a lot of immigrants, there are challenges, right? Language,
Yep.
culture, a little bit. Although we are a multicultural county, I mean, it's just like we have representative of, I don't know how many, over 150, I think, different nations in our country, and certainly from the Pacific Rim in Asia to Latin America to other countries as well coming here. So there's always going to be challenges, I guess. So it's good to have someone, I think, that understands those challenges. That's closer to the immigrant's experience than not. Um, do you do you think your business background prepares you for the school board in some ways?
I think so, definitely. I think being a bit, having the opportunity to have mojitos and crossing and been an amazing experience for me because I have dealt with, I call it two kinds of customers, right? Our employees are our customers because we have to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that we provide a good working environment for them.
Mm-hmm.
And our customers that come in every day and they're asking for a specific product, are we supplying that to them? Are we providing good customer service?
Yeah.
Are we understanding what they want from us? Either from, are we managing the
Mm-hmm.
situations how we're supposed to?
Right.
It just teaches you, and we have every, when you go on on a Saturday night to Mojitos,
Mm-hmm.
every nation is there. Sometimes I sing and I go, okay, who, do we have anybody from Mexico? Okay.
Oh.
Anybody from here? And then people can, Ukraine. Yes. And I go like, oh my God, there's like people from everywhere in the world in this place.
Oh, for
And they're
sure.
just having a good time. And everybody has a different culture. And sometimes
Yeah.
when I've had the problem with employees not understanding each other or maybe some kind of disagreement,
Mm-hmm.
I find that is mostly because they have a different culture,
Right.
and the way that that they thought about this is the other person is different. It thinks about it in a different way. So we do have
Sure.
a challenge. It's a
Yeah.
big challenge,
Mm-hmm.
but that is why I believe we have to find a common thing. Okay, you have a problem with this employee. What is wrong? What is your problem? And
Right.
then they would talk to the other person. And
Right.
at one point, they would see that they were both looking for the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but in different places. And
That's amazing.
yeah,
I definitely, that is amazing. You're right. I think in that regard that we all want to go to a certain point. It's just how we
yeah,
get there. And you're right.
yeah,
Culture is really. I mean, I grew up in a neighborhood that was Jewish Italian,
yeah.
and I tell people when that's the case that I grew up on meatballs and matzo balls. It was all family, and we
Yummy.
all ate, and eating around a dinner table made everyone equal. We sharing foods and stuff. Um, but that's what I see. When I hear restaurants and stuff, and that's a
Yeah,
difficult business also. So you
it
guys must
is.
have been through a difficult time, even through COVID, and just even
Yeah.
running a business like that with help and employees. So I can imagine.
And they become part of our family. It's one of the things that I never say people that work for us. I say people that work with us to make
Mm,
this happen, right?
yeah, yeah,
And it's incredible because I have seen they got there and before when we hired when they were hired. They had no family. Now they have a
yeah.
kid and they're still there. And some other
Wow.
people that have been through the restaurant and then they left and went to college and now they come back and say, hey, look, I graduated from college and I went to this. And I always want to know. I have some of the kids that worked in the restaurant always coming back and so mom, you're my mom. You're like my mom, my second mom. And they all and it's just an amazing experience because
Yeah.
you become so close to everybody and you feel what they're going through. COVID was horrible for
Mm,
everybody, but I think it was an amazing thing when we couldn't open and we didn't. And some people just call me and goes, "I will work. I don't care if you pay me or not." And we decided, okay, you guys go home. I don't want anything to happen that at the beginning when nobody knew what was going on and
right, right.
uh, go home, we'll pay you. And then I told Louis, I think we're gonna run out of business. But
Yeah.
Louis is my husband. But it all worked out because everybody
Hmm.
knew that we had to survive that, right? And
Yeah.
thankfully, nobody in our staff got sick, nobody in our family got sick, and everybody's,
Well, that is
so
fortunate. That is
yes,
fortunate. And I know the community supports mojitos at the forum and stuff. People are always talking about it. It's like
yes.
one of the great icons in Peachtree Corners. Um, so we've talked quite a bit about the roles and everything. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you'd like to share?
Um, I just think I I I I just want to tell you that my family loves this community. We love the schools. We actually moved to Peachtree Corner because of Simpson Elementary. I was looking around and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is the best school. This is where we're going. And I
Yeah.
remember that I didn't even look at the house. That was the only house left for sale in 2006. The house
Oh,
were
wow.
flying off the market like hotcakes.
Yeah.
I think this, and Simpson Elementary was the home for my kids and
Yeah.
Pickneyville and Norcross. And I care for my community. I really care for our children. I want to make sure that people are looking at our school system in that way. I want
Hmm.
them to have that love and passion for our community because I think that would it will create something good, and that's what I want to to be there for. I
Cool.
I know that my experience will come in handy in the school
Hmm.
board. I know
Hmm.
that I will be able to talk to the other people, the other school members, and
Yeah.
talk to them and say, well, I believe this, and this might work like that, and then if they have to listen to their point of view, and somehow I think
Hmm.
that I will be able to come into a conclusion that this is the best for our children, because that's the most important. Our children, our
Hmm.
teachers, and just our school system for our community.
Okay.
So,
Pretty good. I was going to ask you, to sell it to make sure people come out to vote, and you just did it. Where can they find out more information about your campaign, Jenny? Like,
uh,
what's the website address?
Yanin, YANIN
Uh-huh.
.org.
Easy
And
enough. Okay. And
yeah,
they can go to that site, find out a little bit more information, contact you if they have questions,
yeah, sure.
and maybe even ask for a
And
yard sign if they want.
yes, that would be great. It's funny because
Good.
my son we were coming from school and he's like, look at this, look at your signs everywhere, Mom. And I was like, oh my God. I don't
Yeah,
know if
that's
I.
that got to be a
I
special
don't.
feeling.
I'm a humble person that kind of intimidates me to see my name everywhere. That's not like my
Yeah.
style, but but that's what we have to do. It is an election after all.
Yes.
Um, but
Yes, you
it's fun.
definitely have to be out there. And I understand you're, a quiet person that way, been told.
Yeah.
But you have, I think you've expressed yourself really well here. Um, so if anyone has any questions, they certainly can, put questions to you on the comments below, depending on where you're watching this, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or on Twitter, which is where this goes live in a few days. Um, so this is not live now, obviously. This is simulcast live for those that may be watching it or post watching it afterwards. Um, so I do appreciate your time here, Yanin
Okay.
Cortes, running for school board, District 3. And thank you very much
Early
for being
vote.
with us.
I just
Oh,
wanted to remind you,
please.
early voting is going on now until
Excellent.
May 17th,
Great.
and then the election day is May 21st.
Excellent. Appreciate you doing that. So don't forget, go out there because, again, this is actually the only vote that you'll be making for Gwinnett County School Board. Does not happen in November. This is a nonpartisan race, and you all better be out there because otherwise decisions will be made in May, not in November.
Yes.
So final election day, actual election day is May 21st. So cool. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate you sharing your opinions, Jenna. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me.